The doorway of Cadillac in Formula One has sparked talks approximately a more boom, and adding one extra organization to the grid, as Ben-Cam and Otar Saf now have spread out approximately this case. Nowadays their stances are very excessive, exceptional, in relation to three specific competitors joining the grid, and at the game returning to the antique 24-driver format. However, with the stepped-forward issues, approximately the diluted prize cash, further to the threat-reward scenario, this is constantly being debated through the F1 and the FOM ought to. We see this example without a doubt take area. One of the most well-known recollections inside the worldwide of Formula One is the boom to 11 organizations. It really is the #1 time for the reason that H input the game in 2016 of route. It's very essential to have a look at that. There were big adjustments in Andretti and Cadillac's bid to be allowed to take part in F1 from 2026 onwards, collectively with the control being shifted from Michael to his father, Mario Andretti. And this is pivotal for what we're going to talk about on this video. The doorway of a 12th team, even as many are, despite the fact that having hard mind about accepting the fact at the manner to have 22 drivers at the grid from 2026 onwards, there are ongoing talks approximately expanding this amount to 24. Otar Safin, the former organization important of Alpine, has said it himself, that he's operating with funders and buyers to constant a place for a 12th group on the grid on the equal time. As speaking about this to a extra quantity, he said, "I've been walking with a few American funders and a few vehicle producers to have a study, a 12th institution for the future. So once they open up the device of including the 12th agency, I desire that lets in you to put in a robust case to permit the 12-12 crew to go to the humans, that I even have investment it further to the producer that I am strolling with, will be my very last purpose of direction." Plenty of you marvel why Safin now will be assertion is applicable in this case, and the way he is related to a 12th institution, while nearly he might not private some issue, or isn't any immoderate profile individual inside the FIA, the F1 or the FOM, but what we have been capable of witness with the cutting-edge dayfront of Cadillac, is that once the proper human beings are essential, the technique taking part on this endeavor isn't some element that seems too difficult to gain. Yep, it's miles, but one of the, if not the most elite competitions in the complete worldwide because of the truth. We've seen how protective the F1F and Team Principes were, whilst it came to Andres the front. However, now that the recognition has risen via the roof, there may be absolute confidence, approximately it. We need to have more organizations on the grid. This has been cited in an excellent way through manner of the most controversial determine in the game. Right now Ben Salam, who is coping with quite some backlash regarding his modern-day stance at the drivers swearing politics. However, even in advance than Andretti and Cadillac were allowed to go into. In F1 Ben's stance changed into loud and smooth. There can be room for 12 corporations. And as long as I'm the president of the governing frame, we're going to push for it as plenty as we are able to. Now that 50% of his desires have come actual, with Cadillac Salam, has become to a high quality. Market 2 are attempting to find for competitors inside the sports activities. Sports activities, China. The engineering revolution in China have become the heads of many markets within the global, and especially the European ones. The car manufacturing has been quite super, and there can be signal-ific functionality that they'll be taking component inside the Formula One world, in the event that they were to area the desires and the funding in it, and I doubt that they could want a number of persuasion from the FIA because of the truth. In case you bear in mind it, there may be one Chinese purpose strain that has enjoy in the sport, and that is Joe. And we do endure in mind that one of the primary reasons why Ferrari decided to signal Joe as their reserve cause strain apart from his F1 enjoy have turned out to be have an effect on at the Chinese marketplace, and the coins he introduced with him way to the sponsors who stood inside the back of his Again, now he may be used as an extremely good negotiator to not only find a Chinese investor, however an engine producer, as nicely on the same time as talking about it, in an interview with the French media Ligo, Ben Salam become asked as to whether or not a Chinese piece changed into missing to the puzzle known as the F1 grid, to which he answered, "You examine my thoughts. It's miles been my dream for the final years that the massive USA ought to have a presence in Formula One. The USA could be with General Motors. The following step is to welcome a Chinese manufacturer. We have already got a using strain need to. We count on, in phrases of quantity or quantity. We need first-class groups, and whether or not we find it irresistible or no longer, it has been added to our interest that cash hints this global of Formula One because of this, that if consumers and engine producers are to be decided from China, then the globalization of Formula One will growth to 12 corporations at the grid. Yep, it is, although a much-fetched idea and something that of Path wants to undergo F1 and the FOM as a completely last approval stamp. But given the contemporary financial pork, it without a doubt has been taking region among China and the rest of the sector. I quite doubt that the activities concerned may be interested by having a competitor from this Asian United States, but the records remain statistics, and the USA that there are masses of Chinese automobile producers who may additionally want to push for an F1 front. So if we first of all the maximum apparent one, which is probably Geely, the organization have turned out to be based totally once more in 1986, and is owned with the aid of Wei, of Li Shifu, a multi-billionaire from China. Because the maximum recognizable aspect that GY is thought for is having stakes in Mercedes-Benz, Aston Martin, Volvo, and Lotus. Because of this, we are now not speaking about a producer who has no enjoy in any respect in producing engines. Pretty the alternative they is probably the awesome in form for the 12th organization. Apart from all of the brilliant Asian events which may be interested together with Hyundai, what provides to the case of Geely is the outstanding opinion that Joe has with the organization, due to the fact the Chinese using stress said publicly that he enjoys close toadies with this car manufacturer, and brought that Geely can be the bridge to the arena of Formula One. Of course it is shape of weird as to why China hasn't been extra present at the Formula One market once they have one of the maximum mythical circuits inside the worldwide and the doorway of the primary Chinese. Using pressure came in 2022, however. Though the future is now, and we're searching at a very thrilling concept of getting 12 groups competing at the grid as early, because the newly regulated technology, whilst talking about the 12th business enterprise on the grid and his have an impact on it. Joe went on to say, all I can say is that for myself, in my view, I've been already jogging together with GI organization. I've been an envoy for his or her vehicles. Zika is from their organization, so I am very close with them, of course. They even though have a immoderate interest in moment mot activity in Formula One. In elegant, I expect a few thing I expect, wherein I'm heading, they will try to help me on that aspect that is incredible to have. But then understanding they've got, and great connection with Alpine, it isn't always honestly making my desire more, wherein I'm going to be maintaining off. But that is what they're doing with their very personal Avenue Motors. For sure they have got hobby in the game of Formula One. And I assume especially they want to definitely come decrease once more to Formula One. But which manner we need to, appearance, not whatever extra to function a massive problem. Right here, as I noted earlier in the video, can be the reaction from the one within the FOM. Because if you think about it, the dilution fund may be a large problem, and we're but to appearance, the quantity of cash that they're going to are seeking for, so that you can compensate for the front of a trendy 12th crew. I doubt that that is going to be a hassle for the Chinese group, given the hobby and the competition, and their strong fundings, but it clearly goes to expose that the stance of the FOM and F1 is loud and clean. We need engine manufacturers, particularly now that Ren has dropped off the engine software, but even Benson is privy to that. This time the maximum essential problem is to characteristic rate to the game, and now not clearly add organizations for the coins. It surely is why he expressed that remarkable subjects extra to him than quantity. The overall feeling is that on every occasion a extremely present-day team enters the game. It's a brilliant element due to the reality they may be bringing more revenue extra fanatics and of course setting up extra spots for F1 drivers who have no longer been able to expose themselves, in particular schooling. However, as we might seen with the rest of the freshmen, the scenario is not all that super. And with H, but to show that they'll fight for podiums and for race wins as they're nearing the 10-12 months anniversary of their front into the sports activities. Sports fears that new agencies may upload no longer something greater than lower back marker motors at the grid, also are practical ones. With all this in mind, do you observe that the vicinity of Formula One will see a 12th institution at the grid? And in that case, do you position that it is probably Joe the using pressure who must want to thank regarding this situation becoming a reality? Allow us to comprehend inside the comments beneath. And if you're inquisitive about the extremely modern-day drama amongst Stroll and Aston Martin, make certain to check out the video. It is performing in your screen proper now.